today.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. So glad I could come. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll just jump right into it. We might as well record everything we're doing because it's so fascinating. So,
Abs-
welcome to a special episode of Bikinis in Boarding School. I am your host, Jill Humphrey, and I am absolutely honored to have my guest, Jennifer Straight, with me today. So before we get started, I just wanted to remind everyone that it's important to remember that we all live a different life experience and that we interpret things based on the lens that we view them out of. So my interviews are never meant to paint a specific picture or an agenda, more to highlight everyone's individual and unique experiences and just share how different they really were. So let's see. One other thing that if I ask a question that makes you feel uncomfortable or you're not wanting to answer it in this format, feel free to say skip or pass.
Sure.
All right. So with that, Jennifer, would you please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Street. I attended Holy Highway, New Boston in 1996 and 1997, along with my
Okay.
sister, and we're 11 months apart. So,
Your
um,
sister was Crystal.
yes.
Oh my goodness, yes. I
Hi.
thought when I saw your face, I'm like, I think that's who it is, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So cool to reconnect.
Were we there together?
Yeah, we were.
Okay. And I think you're under
I was
your,
Jill
I
Ross.
assume you're Jill Ross now or Jill Ross then?
That's who I was then.
Okay. I probably have to see pictures, but your smile and everything is like dinging, like you have memories, but they're just not like they're not
Yeah.
coming straight
Yep.
to the front. I think if I were
Totally.
to see pictures of like us then, I would be like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yes.
Yeah, so my current life situation is I'm the office manager for a company called Qualified Crane Training. I have worked in the recovery ministries in women's recovery. I was the director of a Grace House Adult and Teen Challenge for 3 years in Indianapolis. I've been a children's church pastor. I serve at an organization called the Dream Center once a week
Um,
in Dayton, Ohio, and I just basically assist with the immediate need for people in homeless situations. So if it's a shower, if it's a hot meal, if it's a change of clothes, we're the organization's kind of there to support that need. So that's kind of my current way of being able to give back. My family loves to travel. We love to camp. We love to boat. We love to do all the fun things. So we do lots of that. I have two adult children.
okay.
One's in the army and one's in college. And then I have a toddler. He's 3.
Oh my goodness.
He's just
How
a little
fun.
treat, a little treasure. So
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Oh, that's awesome. Any hobbies?
Yes. So I make homemade medicines, salves and things like that. Dandelion salve and
Oh my goodness.
we tap our trees for maple syrup. I garden, I can. I make sourdough bread. I make
That
homemade
is so cool.
kombucha.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fascinating. I
Yeah,
resonate with some of that. I have a CBD company, so I
yeah,
make
awesome.
all number of natural supplements and holistic remedies and salves and stuff. So yeah, and
Awesome.
I've been an avid gardener. I'd like to say I picked up a little bit of that from Texas and that huge garden that we were always working in.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Southern California.
I, I remember that. There
Yes.
was a batch of you from California at the same time. I remember Kara and Joanna, you and your sister. I don't remember who
Yeah.
else, but yeah, it seemed like there was a few.
We had some Washington and Oregon, and there was a
Yep.
lot of West Coast or Arizona.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. What was your life like before Holy Highway?
So that's where, it was bad. It was sad. It wasn't, there was nothing really, you know, and I just shared my testimony on Friday, and it really, when you share your testimony, it brings out a lot of that, and it really does help you to reflect. And for me, our life growing up, violence was not uncommon. Violence was the norm. Abuse was the norm. Sexuality and like sex as itself was normal all growing up.
Yeah.
Addiction was, we're talking third, fourth generation addiction, alcohol, all of that was very normal growing up. So for my sister and I don't want to speak for her, but for me, um not until I went to Holy Highway did I ever see what a, a possibility of what healthy life could look like. So
Yeah.
it was always just crazy, like trauma after trauma. And then my dad died at 14, right before we went to Holy Highway. He died of cancer, and he was only 38 years old. So it was like, it was just one trauma after another
Yeah.
growing up for us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until we went to Holy Highway. We'd never been to church. I remember I had been invited by my little friend Carissa down the street. I was probably like 10. We went to church for the first time. I went to church for the first time, and here's all these, everybody's happy and smiling and singing and, and learning scriptures and, getting candy bars for learning scriptures. And I was just like, this is so neat. But my inside voice said, this is so neat, but this is for them. Like, this is for these people. We go home,
Yeah.
our home. This is so foreign and so far away from what I knew was normal that I just thought, wow, how cool for them, you
Yeah.
know? And then that was the truth. But and I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't mad about it. It was just that was reality. You live in reality. And as a kid, I think
Right.
even as kids, we're even better at understanding reality. Like, this is just reality. This is what it is.
Right.
It's
We
all there,
adapt.
whatever. And so that was kind of my norm. And went to Leah Highway. I was extremely rebellious.
Yeah.
No, but I don't care how much hard labor you made me do. I didn't care. You want me to go dig? Fine. I'll show you. I will go dig a trench for a month if I have to.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I had never excelled in school anyway. So the fact that
Right.
they took me out of school instead of, you know, going like going, I still had to do like minimum requirements, but I didn't get to doing
Right.
the extra stuff in school. So I was like, that's fine. I didn't care. When I was at Holy Highway, it was the first time in my life that I had read a book cover to cover. And I learned like I love it. Not only did I do it, but I loved it. And I was like, I love this.
Right.
I love reading. I love learning. I had never had that experience prior to going to Holy Highway. We had never cared. I mean,
Wow.
I had kittens growing up, but like caring for the farm animals was fun and interesting. I remember, and if I don't know if anybody else listens to your podcast that was there, but Christy K, if you know who I'm talking about, she had some kind of attitude for whatever reason that day, and she decided she was going to pull the entire bucket of pig slop off the truck herself because she didn't care. So she grabbed it and pulled it down, and a wave of Barry Telford prison slop came up and down. All and we were like,
I can smell it to this day.
yes, yes. So,
I loved
so
the biscuit days when there was like leftover rolls or biscuits because we would like pelt them at each other or like try to hit the trees as targets, throwing them to the pigs. It was
yeah,
funny.
and they were like rocks; they would just explode.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
The vegetable soup was so gross.
Oh
That stuff
yeah.
splattered no matter how careful you
Oh,
were.
all of it was gross. Yeah, it was.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Isn't it interesting? Like the little things you remember about people. Like I had forgotten about Christy K, but I remember something specific about her. She would always make fun of my accent and tell me that I talked like Frasier. And she's like, would you like
Oh,
some lattes with your biscotti? Because she had
that.
that deep Southern accent.
Mhm, that's so funny.
And
Yeah.
then I remember you and your sister were like, okay, so it was the early to mid 90s era rap, and you girls were from Southern California, and you were like hard gangster chicks. Like that's how I saw you. I mean, I was from Seattle and I was in the grunge era, but it's like to me, that was your persona. We really didn't get to talk about who we were or what
Right.
we did or our
Right.
past or anything. So you just kind of develop this perception of who someone is. But it's like, yeah, in my mind, back then as a teenager, you and your sister were like a couple of G's who'd seen some stuff.
I mean, we were, and
Yeah.
so I look at it like, there seeing people pistol whipped, we actually had seen that prior to going
Yeah.
there. Like we had visually seen that. We'd seen people get jumped. We were in garages where people are smoking crack and coke and meth and like everybody's just passing the pipe. That was normal. At 14 years old for us, that was normal.
Yeah.
Hearing gunshots, that was normal. Um, you know, because of the type of upbringing that we had where all of that was normalized, we found friends that also validated that normalization for us. So in our community, and we were middle America. We weren't like super poor. We
Yeah.
didn't actually grow up in the barrio. Yes, it was a few streets down, but like that's California. There's
Right.
this freeway, and on one side it's, the hood. On the other side, it's like suburbia. So
Yeah.
but we just found people and young people that were our age that were living that, and even older people.
Yeah.
But we had been subjected to all that. So that was normal for us. We weren't like freaked out by it. Now, I'll tell you what did freak us out, me out at least, when I went to Holy Highway and everybody's like playing tambourines and singing. And I was like, I thought that was straight the devil, because I had to but it was actually the opposite. Like I was normal to demonic things.
Right.
The Holy Spirit freaked me out. I had never been in the presence of the Holy Spirit before, so
Yeah.
or I sat there like this with my legs up in a chair like this with my eyes closed the first time I went to Sister Mary John's church because I was like,
Wow.
y'all are freaks. Um,
Yeah.
fast forward like 2 months, we're over there throwing tambourines and we're worshiping and we're getting it, we're
Marching
jamming.
around.
Yeah, yeah, like, I learned how to worship from there, and I wouldn't say I'm as extreme, but I raised my hands, I praise the Lord, I'm grateful, and I have a wonderful life, like, we travel, I mean, and it took me some time to acclimate back from the super intensive program, like the one that we went through,
Yeah.
very intensive, and this is a little off topic, but I do understand that there are a lot of people who would have went to a program like that and maybe didn't need something that intensive. And in that case, that would be very traumatic, to have that level of structure, discipline, and accountability. And, not everybody, not all the staff was, you know, they all meant well, but there, things, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. I mean, just like anyone, you jive with certain people and you can conflict with others. And every teacher has those batch of students that they feel like they're helping and they connect with and they click with. And then they have those students that they just don't connect with. They get frustrated by them. And I don't know, you could kind of see when a dorm mom had a target. And
Mhm.
sometimes it seemed like it was justified, but now as an adult looking back, I'm like, this was just a poor broken kid that was acting out.
Right, right, exactly. And that's the thing. So I'm headed into a season where I'm going to transition as being the office manager for my husband's company. That's who I work for right now. Back into full time ministry, and our church possibly wants to develop an adolescent center for girls. And that would be my biggest question because I know what I got from it, but I know it did traumatize some people, and I want to know what if you're in your opinion or anybody who took away, just something so heavy from there. What could be done differently? What could be done better?
The
Because
number one thing would be to take an active interest in helping these girls process what's going on internally through the lens of mental health, because nobody ever sat down with me and asked me what I was going through, what I'd been through, or help me process it. It was more stuff it down, don't talk about it, give it to God, and God will
right.
just take it away. And I don't think that's the complete answer to anything.
I
So,
agree 100%.
being able to connect with these students, with these girls, with these troubled teens, to be able to meet them where they're at
Right.
and develop that trust, and not from an authoritarian, I'm going to thump my Bible at you and tell you you're a sinner and you need salvation, because that message isn't always well received, especially from the place of trauma where a lot of these girls are when they're coming into the program. So
Yeah.
helping them decipher their feelings, and even if it's just a once a week session where they get to
Right.
go in and sit down and talk,
Right.
um, and then not using silence and talk restriction or isolation as a punishment, because it is so hard, as someone who's experienced trauma, as a female, as someone who's had a religious upbringing, some of these things where you are told many times to not speak, be seen, not heard, stifle your voice, don't speak up, don't tell, that's a secret. You're gonna upset people if they know the truth. Some of these tapes that we play in our head that we believe are true, I think can get reinforced by
Right.
forbidding a child to speak. So, providing that safe space where they can speak.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's really great
that would be what
feedback.
I would love to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to actually sit down with you and anybody else who has feedback like that. If I, if and when, because it's pretty
Yeah.
serious. I mean, I was just talking with our organization and she's like, when. So it's not a
Yeah.
matter of if, it's a matter of when. So we're, getting
Wow.
things kind of fall into place here that was
Right.
going to allow me the flexibility to be able to give myself to that, because I have a niece who is
Yeah.
right now strung out. She's 17, just turned 17 years old. We don't know where she is. She's completely in the wind. The state of
Yeah.
Ohio doesn't have resources. They don't have this. And it's going to suck for these young people that their parents, like if we do open this organization to be completely free, because a lot of parents, some parents can afford, there are other organizations doing it, but it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And there's so
Yeah.
many families that are low income or middle income that cannot afford
Right.
for $400, $1,000. The one that my niece was going to go to was $3,800, and we were going to raise the
Yes.
money and we were going to do the thing.
Yeah.
These girls that if this takes off, these girls are going to be mad. They're going to hate us. They're going to have to put ankle monitors. They're going to have to do all the things. So what can we do as an organization to develop that? And I know, we have the experience because we've been through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went through a year-long residential
Right.
intensive Christian program.
Right.
I want to make it Christian. I want to take some of the things, but different things, and
Yeah.
I want to offer this to these young girls who are out here. The state, and they have legal charges, they have this, whatever, they've ditched school, they're out on their own.
Right.
They're not going to self-correct. There's
They need
things that are going to,
intervention.
they're going to end up dead
Yeah.
or in prison. And
Yeah.
they're just young girls hurting, and they need help, and they need security,
Right.
they need safety, and they need structure, and they need all the things to get them to where they can at that point start making those
Yeah.
decisions for themselves. But I would love feedback on helping anybody who has any insight or any advice or anything that they'd want to give me as I'm working on that. That's why I thought this was perfect. I was like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
do it.
Oh,
You
what an
know,
amazing platform, and what a perfect time to be starting this, and to be able to acknowledge that yes, something like this is needed. However, there were so many elements that could have been done better, but the
right,
need definitely is there.
right, right.
Let's see. So, how old were you when you entered the program?
Um, 15.
Okay. All right. Same age I was then.
Yeah.
Um, who was your older girl? Do you remember?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Mindy, and she goes by, I'm friends with her on Facebook. Mindy.
Okay.
Tala, do you know her?
T, Mindy T something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Mindy
I think
was
she
my
was an A
young,
back then. She was an A
she
back
was
then.
my younger girl.
What? Oh, so you?
So I went there from like 95, 96,
Okay.
and then came back 97. Like I was there for 9 months, home for 4 or 5 months or so, and then back for another 9 months.
Oh, wow, girl.
Yeah.
A lot.
That was rough. Yeah.
So were you, yeah, okay.
So the second time I went back just to visit for a week around the holidays, and I went because I had my plane ticket with me, and I slept with that thing in my pillowcase every night as like, I'm going home. I'm not here for good. I'm just going for a visit. And then one day when I was in the shower, they came and took my plane ticket and everything. And I came out and there was another trunk all packed with a pair of work gloves on top, and there I stayed for another 9 months. So
dang.
I ended up graduating high school there, and I
Yeah,
think because you graduated high school too, right?
yeah,
Okay, so we were there my second stretch together. So Mindy
yeah,
would have been the connection between time one and time two with me.
yeah,
So
that's funny.
we would
Wow.
have these weird, like we would call them family trees when like our older girls were related or something. So yeah,
Right.
we were in like the same little family tree during that stretch.
Oh,
That's
wow.
wild.
That is wild.
And
So when did you graduate? Like your second time?
the second time would have been August or September of 97. And I
So you
graduated high school
graduated,
and the program. I think we graduated together. So like episode one,
really?
I've
So I
got
really
pictures.
need to
We
see
wore
pictures.
the white cap and gown.
Yeah.
Anya was in our graduating
Oh my
class.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think so.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's
2 years is
see.
a long time. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Why do you, in your opinion, why do you think your parents sent you back a second time? Like, what do you
Uh,
think they were trying to get from that situation?
Th- They probably just felt like it didn't take the first time. I mean, I got back, they sent me to public school, and I'd been at private school before that. My dad was a pastor until I was in the first grade. They're both very involved in the church. So I really was one of those church kids growing up. It was super easy to pass my memorization stuff because I'd grown up doing all that. And then, I was into boys too early, making some bad decisions at 14, 15, and then came back. And during the 4 months that I was back, I met a boy that was 21 and I was 17. Fast forward, we got married, had 2 kids together. We're married for 10 years.
Oh,
He
okay.
passed away during COVID. We had both remarried at that point, but did a really great job co-parenting. He was a great man, but just interesting how times were. That's essentially why they sent me back the second time.
Do you think it, like, in your opinion, do you think you could have and would have like self-corrected without needing to go back for the second time? Do you think
Yes,
it was unnecessary? Do you think it was too
honestly,
extreme?
probably both times.
Really?
So the first time, because I'd had a friend from my church who had been sent there and I knew her horror stories, had they told me, shape up or you're going there, we're going to send you to live with your grandma for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, just to kind of get you out of this family dynamic and scenario for a minute. And then honestly, maybe get some counseling to see why I was acting out the way I was, because I was hiding some trauma.
Right.
So I definitely would have, I can't say definitely, I most likely would have self-corrected at that point. Second time, I don't know.
Do you
I,
think
I
they
honestly
panicked?
don't
Do you
know.
think they just panicked and they didn't think that they could, like, they didn't know how to, like, they
Yeah.
thought it was way more or way like it was such
In
a big
their
jump
mind,
for
it
them?
was. Yeah, yeah, it was. And being the oldest of 4 kids, they hadn't experienced this. Usually the oldest is supposed to be the easy one, that does all the things right. But I gave them a run for their money and kind of paved the way for my younger siblings. My sister that's 3 years younger than me, she would fire back with, well, what are you gonna do? Send me to Holy Highway? When she would get in trouble, know that she'd kind of hit a hot button with my parents. We've had a lot of reconciliation over the years. We've talked about it. Did it impact me in a negative way? Yes. But at the same time, I can look at my parents and say they were doing the best that they thought they knew at the time. They thought they were doing what was right.
Right.
They cared about me, and they thought that I was going down the wrong road. And who knows where I would have been without this type of intervention. Did it need to be this extreme? No, most likely not. But at the same time, like I was talking to my husband about last night, it forged some really fascinating and unique character traits that I know I probably wouldn't have developed had I just gone about my normal day-to-day life. I mean, you get out of this comfy, normal situation and you meet people from all different walks of life, and you see that there's many different versions of normal. You hear different accents and learn different stories. You learn to interact with different personality types. And
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, my daughter, so, fast forward, I have a twin, and to this day, she is in the "you absolutely traumatized me" camp. There's no talking her out of. That was the worst possible decision I could have ever made, and it helped her in no way possible, and all that. Although she's doing well, she's in college, she doesn't do drugs, like she goes
yeah,
to church on Sundays. She's still a little boy crazy, but I mean, she's 20, so
yeah.
yeah, and so I don't know. I still feel like it was a good decision. Did I hit the panic button, and could I have maybe done it on my own? I don't know. I think because I was a single parent and because I just knew that it helped me and I knew that it was an amazing opportunity for her. Like while she was there, they had animals, like camel animals. So her pet
Wow.
animal was a camel, and she got Oral Roberts college credits while she was there, and I mean, she made some friends and stuff. So I see there was a lot of positives. She did for the first time actually like learn to worship the Lord and kind of get a little more intimate relationship with God, because of the over, like you're gonna do it,
Yeah.
like
Saturation.
well, I bet, yeah, the extreme saturation. So she did get a little, I think she got something from that. So she got a taste of that at least. But there was also girls that were like trying to hang themselves and cutting themselves and
Yeah.
homosexuality because that's their new norm. We didn't in
Yeah.
our teen challenge or our Holy Highway. I don't know. That was not a huge thing. Like there wasn't a lot of this cutting and suicide and sexuality and all that stuff. Like I can't say
I had
we
one experience with that.
did you?
So I
Okay.
had a younger girl and I had her for less than 2 weeks. And there was one day at lunch, she was crying. And at lunch, we had to like stay in the room, the 2-person room, rather than join everyone when you were on your first 2-week talk isolation with a new girl. And told her she kind of needed to get herself back together before we went into school. She goes into the bathroom with her little compact to powder her face or whatever. And I'm knocking on the door. I'm like, hey, it's time to go. No answer. Knock again, nothing. I'm like, hey, I'm going to come in if you don't open the door because we didn't have locks on the door. And I opened the door. She's laying on the ground. She'd broken the compact in her mirror.
Oh,
And all I saw was blood everywhere. So
oh,
freak out, go find the dorm mom. They pushed us all off to school. And we didn't really hear anything. But that night, you could see out of the chapel windows over to Faith dorm where we were. And a van showed up. There were 2 orderlies in white and they brought her out in a straitjacket. And that was the last I ever saw of her. So,
oof.
yep,
Yeah, okay. Didn't know anything about it. There was
yep.
never a conversation. I guess I was there
No,
during it then,
we
right?
didn't talk about that kind of stuff. I was told to talk, just don't talk about it.
Well, yep, yep, I get it. I get it.
Okay,
I mean, I
lighter
get the
question.
okay.
What were your favorite animals on the farm?
I don't know if it's an animal, but there was these dragonflies that used to come and sit on the barbed wire fence and like hundreds of them. And they were so cool. Like they'd let me come up and like touch them and stuff. And I thought that was so neat.
Oh,
I
that
love
is
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you remember about work program days?
Um, hard labor. I did a lot of hard labor. I don't know if you remember, I did a lot, like a lot. I had Dr. or Brother TK named Jennifer River because I dug one bucket at a time a whole river. So I remember a lot of
Oh my
work.
gosh. Do you remember Walmart outings?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And what was your favorite part of those?
Did we get to get candy? I think we got to get a candy and a soda.
Yeah.
I think we got to
Yep.
pick out our own candy and own soda. I think that was
Yep.
probably like the big highlight of it.
Right. And then, I mean, you kind of touched on it, but in your own words, what was hard labor and did you ever get hard labor? So, yeah, you had a lot of it. So, what was it?
We had to dig trenches. We weren't allowed to talk. I think we got minimal. We had to get up super early. So we had to
Yep.
get up way earlier than everybody else. I don't recall me going to school other than maybe for an hour or two just to do like the absolute requirements. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly. Um, yeah.
Okay. Did you make friends there?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
I would say I made friends during the time that we were there. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember any challenges with friendships on the farm?
Um, my situation was unique because my sister was there, so they didn't typically take a lot of sister, that I don't know if they had just didn't have a lot of it come through so our situation was unique, of course, because we were separated. Our focus was always this separation, and how we, you know, there was a lot there with that. So that kind of took up a lot of my focus as far as the friendship type thing. I mean, I had
Yeah.
acquaintances, I guess, but my sister was right here, but I couldn't talk to her. So that was hard,
Right.
you know.
Right. That would be so strange. So, they did have you on that talk restriction and then probably kept
For
you in
months.
separate dorms.
Yeah, for a long
Oh,
time. Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Did you have any special outings or trips or memories that you recall from your time there where you left the farm for anything fun?
My mom came. My mom flew out with my brother and sister and picked us up, and we all went and ate food and stayed at a hotel. And she bought us a little ring at the mall. It was sweet. It was very sweet.
Cute.
Another one, which is not probably not the greatest, but we weren't supposed to do this, but we went to Arizona on Christmas vacation, and we were not supposed to go home. But Arizona is only like 4 hours from my house. So my mom took us home, and they were like, "Oh, we're just
Oh,
gonna go to Kyle's house. We're just gonna go hang out." So September, October, November, December. We'd been in the program 3 or 4 months, so we were not supposed to go home, and we went and did drugs and the whole nine on our Christmas
yeah.
pass. So when we came back, we didn't say anything about it until we were supposed to graduate, I think, and then our graduation got postponed another 3 months. So we had to stay in the program another 3 months because of one of our outings.
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember that happening to someone else. I don't know the why behind it because of course we would never find out the why,
right.
but I do remember a few times graduations getting postponed.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see, what was your fashion or your style before getting there? And did anything change when you got to the farm?
What I think my fashion at the farm was with whatever my mom packed for us. So I don't remember, but I know it's probably a couple pairs of blue jeans, maybe a couple t-shirts and a dress.
Yep, yep.
My fashion before, I guess, was like jeans and halter tops and stuff. I mean, yeah, it changed more conservatively for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. What do you remember about merits and demerits?
I got a lot of demerits. I don't remember anything about merits. They were like, "You're gonna clean it." I'm like,
It's
"No,
just
I'm
the
not."
demerits.
Yeah, you're doing it
Oh
wrong.
my goodness.
Yeah, I just they didn't. I think
Um,
there could have been some more support. There could have been more support for, like, somebody coming from like, I don't know. It should have been obvious that some of us, like myself, really didn't get it. Like, we did not come
yeah.
from these super great, super structured, super like supportive environments. Like, we came from a survival environment. So,
Yeah.
when they're like laying the hammer down a little hard on, it could have been obvious, like, hey, this person probably
Right.
just needs a little more support in these areas.
Yeah.
Instead, they did what their model was, and ultimately it did work. I would like to say it did work. But yeah, there could have been some more support in some areas for somebody like me.
Yeah. I can kind of see a handful of girls over my two stretches there who probably just gave up on trying because you rack up so many demerits. And it's like, once you hit six, why bother for the rest of the week? You've already got hard labor at that point. So why try?
Right.
So
I would
maybe you
look at
wait.
like the 12 merits sometimes. And it was just over
Yeah.
like the normal stuff that normal people do. I just didn't do because I wasn't used
Right.
to doing.
Right. The white glove inspection. Like if you had dust behind the toilet or maybe forgot to dust the blinds
It.
or, your older girl sabotaged you and put dirt on something that you'd already cleaned. I mean, there was some weird stuff that went on.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty wild.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to know if you remember any random weirdness. So I'll give an example. Like I remember
Right.
having like you had to check out your feminine hygiene products from the dorm mom. You could not just keep those. You literally had to go ask for them. And I think they were keeping a log of our cycles or something
I
like
don't
that.
remember.
That was
I
weird.
have zero recollection of that. I
Okay, what about shaving? Do you remember how weird the process was to shave your legs or paint
Nope.
your nails?
I might have blocked,
Okay.
I'm very good at my trauma responses. I block a lot of this stuff out. So I
Yeah.
don't.
As many weird details as I remember, I'm sure there's a ton of things that I don't remember. Kara had messaged something about these Hawaiian punch that we drank for ages. And I'm just like, oh, I forgot all about those till she said it. So we had these little plastic shoe boxes with our name on it, and the dorm mom kept it in a cupboard. And every Saturday, late afternoon or evening, we would go check out our shaving box, and it had like nail polish and stuff. And we could sit on the floor of the kitchen or the dining room and like collectively shave our legs with this,
Like,
we all had a little bowl of warm water
I
or
just think I
whatever.
never did. That's why I probably don't remember. I was probably like, I don't care. Nobody's seeing my legs. I don't care.
I
And
have to
then
wear
I
ankle
probably
length
got
skirts
demerits for
anyway.
that. I probably got demerits for that. They're like, you didn't shave your legs. You're right up, right up.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and then any other special memories or stories that you can think of from that time that you want to share?
I remember Sister Karen got in trouble for feeding us weevils one time in our oatmeal because it was expired. She ate a lot of
Yeah,
expired food.
we
And
did.
somebody was saying like, "There's something in my bowl," and she's like, it's fine, eat it, eat it." So we were kind of all eating it, and then somebody's like, "No, there's something in my bowl. Like there's a bug," and it was weevils, and we had all eaten like a half a bowl of oatmeal weevils. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We had
that was
something
rough.
similar with the Nutter Butters and maggots. There was
Yes, I
something
remember
in
that.
them.
There was a
So
Yeah,
gross.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I to this day though still love the Nutrageous candy bars because
Yeah.
you remember
Oh
the
my gosh.
Nutrageous?
I'd forgotten that was like the one candy bar that we would get.
Yeah.
So I was not a Dr. Pepper fan before Holy Highway, but Dr. Pepper was like my soda of choice after that. I'll do
Yeah.
the
And I
Dr. Pepper zeros these days.
yeah, and I don't think it was Dr. Pepper. I think it was probably Dr. Thunder, but yes.
Dr. Pibb, Mr. Pibb. Yeah, like
It's like
The
whatever the
Sam's
office
version.
brand of Dr. Pepper, that was the one.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. So do you remember the turkey that chased the
Oh,
Kazastadi's
yeah.
nephew? I'm
See?
mispronouncing their last name, but I remember this little tiny boy and this gigantic mean turkey, and he was always chasing that poor little kid around.
That's
Traumatized.
hilarious. Every time I see a turkey, because we have lots of wild turkeys, I think about that. So I think
Yeah.
about that actually quite often. Like
Isn't that
turkeys are
funny?
mean.
The other memory that I had were three farm dogs, and so Blackie, Brownie, and Whitey, and none of them were named after the right color. So I can't remember which was which, but do you remember those?
That is funny. Yeah. I remember
Oh
we
my
got a
gosh.
bunch of baby cows one year or 1 month or whatever, and they all died. I don't know if you remember that. Like we were trying to feed them and care for them. They were probably already sickly. They all had diarrhea and everything. And
Oh
like,
no.
yeah, we were all caring
If
for
I
them. And
was there for that
they
part, I blocked that part out.
yeah, they like one by one died. It's like
Oh my
the next day,
goodness.
like, where'd it go? Oh, yeah.
Another one's gone. No, I do
Yeah.
remember the baby pigs. Those were always fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was wild. I mean, that was wild, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a time. It's been so cool reminiscing. And
Yeah.
it's really fascinating how that experience for you has kind of morphed into this lifelong passion project, and to see where it's going and the impact that you're making and the changes that you're able to help make in future programs that would kind of have the same mission of helping troubled teen girls. So that is
Yeah.
really cool to hear.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
So with that, I think we kind of wrapped up the episode. So I want to thank you so much for your time, and thank you to all who watched. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and leave us some of your memories in the description box. All right. Thanks, Jen. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.